in excess of 10,000 practitioners, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and an industry it is. When I was in the practice, other than being in the ivory tower, I never called myself a union buster. And most union busters today, unless they're in private circles, don't call themselves union busters. They call themselves labor relations consultants, employee relations consultants, human resource consultants, any benign label they can give themselves. That one of the campaigns that you were involved in, I believe was Baltimore Gas and Electric, spent $40 million on a firm to bust you. The firm is called the Burke Group. They're headquartered in Malibu, California. Nice home address. And they are an assimilation of first generation and second generation union busters that all came together. There was a time when this industry of thieves without honor would slit each other's throats against each other. So it was astonishing to me that people like John Sheridan and others, people from a firm called Modern Management that I spent some time with, and others have come together as the Burke Group did. It changes with the seasons, but the Burke Group, who I've talked about already, from my observations and my research, today are the most dangerous. And they're the most dangerous because they consist of a lot of first generation and second generation union busters who were the original architects, and they've evolved with it accordingly. Now I'm talking consultants, I'm not talking law firms. The American Consulting Group is another one that's been around a long time. In terms of law firms, there's Jackson Lewis, Schnitzer and Krupman, Seifert Shaw out of Chicago, Littler Mendelson, Fastiff and Tishy on the West Coast. But it's really evolved. Again, when I got in the field in '69, there were just a few hundred practitioners. Now there's in excess of 10,000. And to put that in perspective, because it's hard to keep up with the names, even though I try, and a lot of the people who were with the first generation or second generation firms have formed their own firms, as greed goes. But when I was practicing in the 70s and into the 80s, my billing rate was $1,000 a day plus expenses. And I always worked with an attorney. It was a very symbiotic relationship because I did the dirty inside work and they did the legal stuff. So we would refer each other a lot of business. I'd get from the lawyers would get from me because I would tell the employer that I wouldn't work without counsel. And I'm telling you this because today's consultants, where I was $1,000 a day up until I left the field, today's consultants, the better ones, start at $1,500 a day and go up to $2,500 a day plus expenses. Attorneys, and I remember, in fact I was telling Rocky this last night, when I got into the field, management labor attorneys were a rarity. The people that got out of law school to choose a specialty avoided labor law because it was like a secondary form of law, in part because you don't have to be an attorney to practice before the National Labor Relations Board. Today, management labor attorneys in that profession is overcrowded. And I know directly of management labor attorneys who, especially if their name is on the masthead of their firm, are billing $700 to $1,000 an hour. It has become the most expensive profession in the legal profession. So there's been a lot of, and again, it grows, and it grows horrifically because there's no, at least for consultants, there's no regulation to the union busting industry as large as it is. There's no license requirements. Any con man could put up a sign, labor relations consultant.